Hey man, I'm back. UFC Baku just finished, and let's just say he got dominated. He didn't get caught, he got dominated. Hey man, but overall, I thought it was a really good fight card. I thought there was a bunch of really good fights, especially with a 5 year to contender. But we'll go ahead and get to the who's up next, who should be fighting next, and let's go ahead and get started with the first fight that I picked out. We're not gonna go through all of the fights. I just picked out important ones that I thought were important and would be really good fights. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and get started with Obon Elliott. Got fraud checked. Got embarrassed. You ruined my pick too. Oh my god. Anyways, so Obon Elliott got fraud checked. It is what it is. I think he should face the winner of Jacoby Smith and Nico Price. Honestly, I think it's going to be Jacoby Smith. That's why he's in the picture right now. Jacoby Smith, I think, is a really good prospect. I think he actually is someone that could be a force to be reckoned with soon in the welterweight division. Obon Elliott just lost his fight. He needs to get his redemption against an up-and-comer. I feel like this will be an interesting fight. It will show if Jacoby Smith is really at that level to be able to lead to a ranked fight. I feel like after he beats Obon Elliott, depending on how he beats him, he could deserve a ranked fight next. And I feel like this would be an interesting clash of styles. I think Jacoby Smith would dominate him in the wrestling. I feel like it would be a pretty dominant fight. I'm not gonna lie. Obon Elliott just showed that he's not really that good as I thought and said in the predictions. I just didn't think he was gonna get fraud checked like that against someone debuting in the UFC. But it is what it is. So speaking of which, let's go move on to the Korean Tyson. Right? I think that's his nickname. The Korean Tyson. I have him facing off against Austin Vanderford. Austin Vanderford is coming off a couple good wins. Minus the win with Paige Van Zandt. Lucky ass. I think Austin Vanderford it's a decent fighter. He's a pretty good striker. Has power in his hands. And of course, Ko has power in his hands too. But he showed pretty dominant wrestling too. That's the thing. I feel like going into this fight, everybody thought that he was gonna be striking. I thought he was gonna be on the feet, striking up with Obon Elliott. He was pretty much piecing him up throughout the fight, but he used a lot of his wrestling. He used a lot of his strength to really bully Obon Elliott in this fight. And I think it'll be interesting to see him against another powerful striker like Austin Vanderford. Especially Austin Vanderford has a bunch of momentum. It would be his second fight in the UFC, and I feel like after this fight, if he was to win, he deserves the shot at least a top 20 fighter inside the welterweight division. If not, maybe even a ranked fight. Who knows? But I feel like this will be a great fight. I feel like this will be an entertaining fight. I feel like this will be honestly one of the better fights on a pay-per-view prelims card, or even you can even put this on a main card of a fight night too. Maybe even that fight night Paris. No, I think that's maybe too close. I don't know. Cote didn't really take too much damage. Austin Vanderford hasn't fought since February. You can honestly put that on the Paris card. Maybe in another fight night in September since there's no pay-per-view. But yeah, I feel like this would be a really good fight. Anyways, let's move on. Naimov. It was probably the most boring fight on the card. Let's be honest. Naimov, he won the fight. Honestly, don't really remember too much what was going on in the fight. It was a pretty boring, kind of striking matchup. Bogdan Grad didn't do much. Naimov barely did enough to win the fight. Honestly, just feed him Joe Anderson Brito. Joe Anderson Brito's coming off 2 losses, so he needs to fight down. Naimov, he has a couple wins in a row. I'm not gonna say they're good wins. He has a couple wins in a row. I feel like this will be an interesting fight, interesting matchup in the featherweight division. Sorry, I just burped. In the featherweight division. There's not really too much to be said. Honestly, Brito maybe could bring out a decent fight out of Naimov. He has great pressure, inside the octagon with not necessarily his wrestling, but he has great pressure. He's able to push a pace. I know his cardio may be a little bit of an issue, but I think Brito could get the win, get him back in the win column. I can also see Naimov winning. I just hope that wouldn't be a boring fight like how it was this past weekend. Anyways, let's move on. Fight of the year contender. Nicholas Mota faced off against, what was his name? Bro, honestly, the whole card was so hard to pronounce names. Give me a break. But Nicholas Mota had an amazing fight this past weekend. He got KO'd pretty brutally, I'm not gonna lie. But hey, it was a really good fight. It was a fight of the year contender. They were going back and forth. They were swinging, throwing blows. He had let me see what his name is. Hold up, give me a second. But he hurt him against the fence with body shots. He had a 75 strike combination at one point. I thought the fight was finished. I'm not gonna lie. I really thought the fight was finished at that point. I thought he won. Let me see. Give me a chance. I'm a casual. But yeah, I thought he had the fight won. Nazim Sadykhov. Yeah. Against Sadykhov. He had him against the cage. He had him hurt really bad. He won the first round. Even though he got hurt at the end of the first round, he won the first round. He got KO'd in the second. It is what it is. It was a really good fight. Fight of the year contender. Yeah, and you can't tell me that this also would have been a great fight. Like, honestly, even though he lost, I feel like he deserves to at least fight somewhere in the realm of a Drew Dober. Drew Dober's coming off of a bunch of losses in a row, a bunch of brutal KOs in a row, a bunch of brutal finishes for sure. Like, he took crazy damage against Sean Silva. He took crazy damage against Ignacio Bahamondes being KO'd. And I think has he fought Manuel Torres? Let me see. But yeah, honestly, I feel like this could be a 5-year contender as well. Drew Dober always has that type of style where he pushes the pace, where he's able to get himself into a brawl. He's in a brawl more often than not. Okay, let's see. Am I casual or am I not? Yes, against Manuel Torres. Oh, it was Torres, not Bahamondes. Never mind. My bad, I hit the mic. Never mind. It was against Manuel Torres where he got brutally KO'd. Yeah, Mota just fought too, so it was a crazy fight. So he took a lot of damage, so he's gonna need a bunch of time off. Drew Dober again got brutally KO'd as well, and he didn't even know where he was at one point. He thought the fight was still going, so he definitely needs to take a lot of time off too. So I feel like the timeline wise, it adds up. It'll be a great fight. You can also put this on the end of the year, maybe on a fight night in December, maybe in November. We'll see where they're both at health wise. But yeah, that's what I think. I feel. You can't tell me I'm not cooking. Anyways, let's move on. Musayev versus Aliyev. Honestly, Musayev was very hyped going into it. You can hear it from the crowd. And then Metapik Orbai just straight up fraud tracked him. Like, I think it was his debut in the UFC. If not, then he had to win a fight. But I'm pretty sure it was his debut in the UFC. Aliyev has a couple decent wins in a row. He's climbing up the rankings slowly. We can see where Musayev is going against Aliyev. Maybe on a later pay-per-view card on the prelims. Yeah, honestly, I just feel like this will be an interesting stylistic matchup. Both these guys had a decent amount of hype around him. Aliyev, again, is on a good winning streak. He deserves to fight up in the rankings, and they ranked Musayev pretty highly to go against a Metapik Orbai for sure. So we can see where Musayev is at. We can see where Aliyev is at with this fight. And I feel like this would just be a good stylistic matchup. So there's not really too much to be said about this one. Let's go ahead and move on. Metapik Orbai versus Ludwig Klein. You can't tell me this isn't going to be a great fight. So Ludwig Klein just lost to Mateusz Gamrot. Fought up in the rankings. Didn't win. Kind of got dominated. But he needs to fight down. Metapik Orbai is right on the edge of fighting in the top 15. I feel like this fight, if he wins, could push him into a fight at the top 15 in the lightweight division. And I feel like this would be a really good fight. You can't tell me it won't be. Like, am I the only one seeing this? Am I the only one kind of getting shades of Orbai and Robeski with this fight? Ludwig Klein's a great striker. He proved against Mateus Gamrot that he has a hole in the wrestling, so he can patch that up. But Oribai's not really like too much of wrestling. Like I know he showed a lot of wrestling in this fight this past weekend, but that's not like his go-to. That's not where his bread and butter is. That's not where his steak and potatoes are. He's a striker at heart, and he usually sets up his striking with the takedowns and stuff. But we saw against Rebetsky that he wasn't really attempting too many takedowns. Granted, he lost that fight. But Ludwig Klein, I think, has a good enough wrestling to be able to stuff a couple takedowns against Oribai. I think Gamrot's just a different level of wrestler than Oribai is. And I feel like this will be just a crazy fight, insane fight, bloody fight. Put this on any card. Any card. You can even put it on a main card and I wouldn't be upset. Like, this fight would be a fight of the year contender. I'm saying this right now. Book this fight wherever you want, on whichever card you want. I'm watching it straight up. So let's move on. Plus, of course, he has that caveman aura too. Sorry, just had to throw that in there. Can't skip that out. So let's move on to Kuniev versus Tabora. I heard a lot of stuff about Kuniev maybe getting robbed. I was watching it with my friend, and he thought Kuniev got robbed. I thought Curtis Blades won that fight pretty easily. The second round looked pretty iffy. I thought Kuniev for sure won the second round. He probably did a lot more damage than Blades did in the first and third, but Blades definitely won the first and third. The first one, Blades was able to control him, was able to take him down at one point in the first round. And there wasn't really too much that happened in the first round. It's just that Blades pushed a higher pace, had more control of the fight, was able to take him down. So I had Blades win that round. Kuniev was damaging up. He was piecing him up throughout the whole second round. Brutalized his face, basically. But again, that's not how fights are scored. At the end of the day, Curtis Blades was pushing a pace in the third round, was jabbing him to the body, to the face. He was using his jab to keep his range. He was pushing him against the face. He wasn't able to get the takedowns, but he was still pushing the pace. So I thought Blades won the third round pretty easily too. So Kuniev lost his fight. He honestly did better than I thought he was. I thought he was going to get KO'd in the first round, to be honest. But Kuniev, I feel like, it was his debut inside the UFC. So to test where he's at, you got to go against a gatekeeper like Marcin Tybura. You know the guy that that wins one, loses one. I feel like this is a perfect fight. This is a perfect blob fest. You can put this on the main event of a blob card. Please don't. That was a joke. That was a joke, UFC. Please don't do that. Yeah, I feel like this would be an interesting fight. I feel like this is one where Kuniev can win. I can see this one being one where Tybura wins too as well. Like, Tybura is like low key, like a crazy finisher. Like, he finishes fights more often than not. Like, you can say whatever you want about Tybura, he finishes his fights more often than not. I feel like this will be an interesting fight. Definitely blob fest. Both of these guys will be jiggling, sweating, breathing heavily inside the cage. Honestly, you might need a medic on the side. We don't want another Shamil Gaziev moment against Jair Ronda strike. But I feel like, again, this will be an interesting fight. It'll test where Kuniev's at in the division. Tybura, if he wins this, he can fight back up into like maybe against someone coming off a loss in the top 5 of the heavyweight division. We just need to see how it plays out. There's still a lot of time for it to play out since John Jones retired. So we just need to wait and see how that division plays out. But honestly, I feel like this will be an interesting fight. I feel like this will be a good fight. And yeah, let's go ahead and move on to Curtis Blades. I feel like Curtis Blades, he said that he popped his MCO, which is something that I kind of believe. But his performance wasn't anything too special. Like, again, you can blame it on the injury, which is very understandable. But I feel like he should face the winner of Derek Lewis and Talashin Teixeira. I feel like Blades would want that win back against Derek Lewis, considering that he got knocked out after dominating Derek Lewis throughout the whole fight, and that was a couple years ago. And Talashin Teixeira is an up and comer too. He's one of the more interesting prospects inside the heavyweight division. That's not saying much, but yeah, he's a tall, lanky striker inside the heavyweight division. Curtis Blades is an American wrestler that has pretty good striking and is pretty quick on the feet as well. He looked really slow in this last fight, though. I'm not gonna lie, against Kuniev. But again, you can attribute that to the MCL injury in the first round. He was able to take him down, Kuniev down in the first round, and he wasn't able to do that in the later rounds. Maybe that was because of the injury. Maybe that's because of his performance. But just in case, we need to see if Blades deserves a top fight in the top 5 again, because everybody else above him, he's already basically lost to. He lost to Tom Aspinall. He's lost to Pavlovich. He's beat Almeida, but that fight only happened like a couple years, like a year ago, I'm pretty sure. So that fight's too recent to rebook. Against Volkov, did he win against Volkov? I can't remember. Honestly, that fight's pretty forgettable. I don't even know if he's faced Volkov, but maybe you can do that fight next as well. But I feel like this one will be more entertaining, especially the timelines also add up, because Blades is going to need time to recover. He's going to need time to fix his knee, recover from his knee. And I feel like, again, we can also see if that. I feel like the best case scenario tells Teixeira beats Derek Lewis, so we can see where Teixeira's at, if he's good enough to be fighting in the top 5 of the heavyweight division. But anyways, let's move on. Ignacio Montes versus Sidakov. Sidakov, coming off a Fight of the Year contender, took crazy body shots, but honestly wasn't too injured. In the fight, KO'd Nicholas Amota in a crazy scrap. Bahamondes has electric fights. I feel like Bahamondes is losing this fight. Needs to fight down in the division. Sidakov's right on the board. They're both in like the similar placement in the division too. They're both like top 20, borderline top 15 fighters inside the lightweight division. And I feel like the winner of this could get another shot in the top 15 of the division. Sadikov hasn't had one, but Bahamondes can get another shot if he wins this fight. And Sadikov has major hype behind him. You heard that crowd in Baku. Yeah, I feel like this will be a great fight, a very entertaining fight. And I feel like this is, again, like this will be one where whatever it's on, it could be on any card, and this would be one I would tune into. This, again, would just be an electric fight, a bunch of fireworks, and honestly, I would just be very entertained by it. Bahamondes in his fight against Fiziev showed honestly kind of poor fight IQ, but that's always something that he can improve on. That's always something he can learn from. He's still super young, and I feel like he will bounce back. And I feel like in a fight like this, you can get your hype back pretty easily if you go into a scrap against an up and comer that has major hype behind him and beat him. And with Sidakov, if you beat someone like Bahamondes, who was also another prospect that had major hype behind him, you saw all those promos that they were doing for Ignacio Bahamondes going into the fight. That was crazy. So I feel like either way, it would help boost the career of either Bahamondes or Sidakov with this fight, especially if it's a crazy fight of the night, for sure. So let's move on to the winner, Fiziev. Now, hear me out. I would want Fiziev to face a Dan Hooker. I would want Fiziev to face a Gamrot again. But he's been talking about moving down to a featherweight division. And I feel like that, honestly, for his career, I feel like that suits him better. He's not really cutting too much weight at lightweight. And I feel like if he goes down to featherweight, he would be a real problem. His striking is so clean, so quick. And you don't really see too much of that outside of maybe like outside of a Volkanovski, outside of a John Silva, and at points outside of a Diego Lopez. You don't really see too many elite strikers. And then you have Lerone Murphy, who's undefeated, who's also known for his striking. Not very entertaining striking, but he's known for his striking. And I feel like this will be a pretty interesting fight. Lerone Murphy, born fights Fiziev, entertaining fight. So let's see who comes out top or entertaining. I feel like this is a fight that Fiziev could win, that gets him into the top 10 of the featherweight division. So he's able to fight someone in the top 5 and maybe get a title shot after that. I feel like, again, moving down to featherweight is probably the best thing for Fiziev's career. He's like against Gaethje, he showed that he's able to fight against bigger opponents, more dominant opponents. Again, it was his gas taking, maybe being a little outsized in a fight against Gaethje. And I know that was a big concern fighting Ignacio Bahamondes. If Fiziev wants to stay in the lightweight division, that's also understandable too. He's only lost to Gamrot and Gaethje. But I feel like, again, fighting down a featherweight, I feel like he has a better shot at winning the title and advancing his career. So I feel like, again, a featherweight debut against Lerone Murphy, slimes him out, beats him, knocks him out, instantly becomes a fan favorite in the featherweight division. So I feel like this is a good idea. Let me cook. You see the vision. Okay, let's move on. Jamal Hill got dominated. Guess who he's going to face? The Dominator, Dominic Reyes. That's right. Dominic Reyes is coming off a 3-fight winning streak. Insane. Tell someone that back in like 2020, 2021, they wouldn't believe you. But he is on a title run. What better person to face against a former champion that's on a 3-fight losing streak? I feel like Dominic Reyes wins, he has a claim to fight into a top 5, or even if he waits out long enough, he could even fight like maybe even for a championship. Like you have a claim, you're on a 4-fight winning streak if you beat Jamal Hill, a former champion. Magomed Ankalaev has already beat Rakic. Like there's also Olberg, but no one really wants to see Olberg fight for the title. If he already beats Alex Pereira a second time, or if Alex Pereira also wins, he's also beat everybody else in the division too as well. So I feel like this is a great position for Dominic Reyes to be in if he beats Jamal Hill. And Jamal Hill, again, he has to fight down. This will be an entertaining fight. Jamal Hill usually doesn't take too much time off. I feel like he should take time off, but it doesn't seem like he takes time off in between fights. He wants to get back in there and get his win. So I feel like, again, timeline wise, it kind of adds up. Maybe you can do this in a November pay-per-view. Maybe have its own fight night as well. This will be just an entertaining fight, entertaining scrap. I feel like the winner of this could, especially if it's Dominic Reyes, could get the chance to fight in the top 5. I feel realistically, if he wins this, book him against Olberg for the number 1 contender fight. Jamal Hill, he's just at a weird position in his career to where he's losing to the guys on the top of the division, but he still has that like former champ like glory. Like you can't make him fight outside of the top 10 because he's a former champ. Not even like a former champ in the sense of like, oh, he won the fight like a while ago. No, he won the fight back in 2022, I believe. 2022 or 2021. It was around when he won the title, so it wasn't even like too long ago. Yet he's still on a 3-fight losing streak, granted against killers in Alex Pereira, Yuri Prochazka, and Khalil Roundtree. But he did look very bad. Everything I said that was gonna happen happened. He looks slow on the feet, very flat-footed. Again, I just think it's the Achilles tendon. Not that it's still injured. I feel like it's also just a mental block with Hill. I think he needs time to improve. I feel like he needs time to just get his mind right and see what he needs to improve on to be able to fight again in the top 5, top 10, and he needs to get a couple wins in. And you could start here with Dominic Reyes. Granted, I don't want it to. I want Dominic Reyes to win the title. But yeah, I feel like this will also be just outside of just it being right and feeling right. It would also be a great fight too. So let's move on to the winner of the card. That's right. We got Big Bubba, Khalil Roundtree versus Yuri Prochazka. Listen. I don't know when Prochazka's coming back. That's the only issue. Timeline-wise, it might not add up. Khalil Roundtree didn't take too much damage besides a cut on his eye, and Yuri Prochazka has been out for a while. He's been taking his classes, doing his homework. I heard his mom was packing him Scooby snacks for lunch. But this fight would be a crazy striking match. I feel like it would be such an entertaining fight. This is one I for sure want to see, and I'm fine. Like, I want to see Yuri Prochazka in pretty soon. Realistically, he's more than likely going to fight Carlos Olberg for a number 1 contender title ship. But this is the fight I want to see. I feel like this is the fight everyone wants to see. This is the fight to make. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's basically all the picks I have. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you want Killer Roundtree to fight like fucking Carlos Olberg, or if you want Jamal Hill to fight whoever, Jan Blachowicz or something like that. Just let me know in the comments. And yeah, that's really about it. I'll see y'all.